This is the presentation for the last Sunday of Ordinary Time, and it's always the Feast of Christ the King. This is for Year C, the readings for Year C. The points for the catechist to consider: Luke 23, 35 to 43 records a part of the crucifixion. Luke describes the mocking of Jesus by the Jewish leaders and the Roman soldiers and one of the thieves. In contrast, the second thief, whom we know as Dismas, defends Jesus. With great faith, he also asks Jesus to take him to his kingdom. So we don't actually have the two other thieves, the two thieves that are being crucified with Jesus in our particular scene. The materials that I'm recommending are to take the relevant gospel characters or characters some of the characters that are representing the Pharisees and maybe some other people, and John from the cenacle and Mary from one of the other dioramas, and the soldiers actually come from the empty tomb. A standing crucifix will suffice. This is one I have here. And then laminated images to represent the passage. Tissot has some very beautiful images, stained glass images. You will see some as well embedded into the booklet that you could source. But basically an image that shows the two thieves as well. So this is how the presentation goes. I don't also have a special background at this point in time, but a black background is very suitable for this. You could use a piece of cloth like this, or you could just use a piece of black card on the back of one of the boxes. So this is the presentation. Here are some words to know as we listen to the gospel today. To mock means to insult and make fun of a person. Reviled, it's to criticize in an abusive or angrily insulting way or manner. So, in today's gospel, St. Luke tells us about the crucifixion. And here you might show them the Jerusalem model and the place outside the city walls of the old city where the crucifixion took place. Luke describes the mocking of Jesus by the Jewish leaders and the Roman soldiers and one of the thieves. This is where you'd show an image. However, the second thief, whom we know as Dismas, defends Jesus. With great faith, he also asked Jesus to take him to his kingdom. So let's listen to what happened. The rulers mocked Jesus. And said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he's the chosen one, the Christ of God." You'd show an image there, perhaps. Even the soldiers jeered at him. Now, one of the criminals hanging there reviled Jesus. "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." The other, however, rebuking him, said in reply, "Have you no fear of God? For you are subject to the same condemnation." This is where you'd indicate a selected image. "And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus replied to him, "Amen, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." I wonder. So I wonder, the Jewish leader said, he saved others. Let him save himself if he is the chosen one of the Christ of God. I wonder what they might be asking Jesus to do in that moment. What are they expecting him to do? Probably expecting him to do nothing. If it was a true miracle, he would come down from the cross, and they're not expecting that. I'm not telling you that you tell the children this, but that's the direction of the I wonder question. I wonder why the two criminals responded differently to Jesus. You'll find interesting thoughts coming through there. I wonder why these words of the thief, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom, are so appropriate to hear on this feast day of Christ the King, which is today's feast day. And then the children will enjoy, particularly working with the diorama itself in some way, and to reenact the scene, perhaps reflecting in the prayer corner using some of the images to help them, a mindful colouring in, electronic or physical jigsaw puzzles, drawing, watercolour painting, what have you.